Before I begin, just a reminder, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you like what you see. So get that out of the way. I'm actually being quite remiss in that regard. Today I would like to talk about the state of the nation again, and you know, I'm not overly happy with the way the country's heading as far as political leadership is concerned. And not all of that is actually the fault of the government. A large degree it is, but they also have to grapple with other institutions, which I've mentioned in the past. And one of the ones that I'll bring up today is actually the legal profession, again rearing its ugly head. In this regard, in this particular instance, I'm talking about immigration and Peter Dutton, who is the immigration minister, who seems to be a reasonably level-headed guy, and that's a rather rare commodity in the Turnbull government, who I don't have a great deal of time for, as you know. However, Peter Dutton does seem to be a bit more common sense orientated, and all he's trying to do is actually deport some migrants who have claimed refugee status and have basically from Iran, if I recall, and what they've done is in the interim they've gone back to Iran on holidays. Now, if it's such a hellhole of a place to leave, why would you go back there for a holiday? And you know, generally speaking, a place that's totally undesirable, you wouldn't go back to for recreation. So the whole thing's fishy as. And so sensibly, Dutton decided to say, well, sorry guys, you cannot live in this country, you're not a legitimate refugee. Because there are only so many places available for refugees, so why not cull out the ones that are obviously economic refugees as opposed to refugees because they come from a war-torn or dangerous area. And obviously they would be the top priorities, one would think, if you're really a humanitarian. However, his sensible decision has been knocked on the head by the AAT, and they basically have been stacked with left-wing lawyers by the previous administrations, federal governments. I think this was under the Gillard government's administration that the latest crop were put in there. And basically they are just blocked, I think, around 4,000 of Dutton's requests to have these people's applications for citizenship knocked back. And they've overturned them. And it makes me think, well, you know, who in the hell is in government in this country? I mean, it's not we have legal bodies such as the AAT blocking a democratically elected government's decision on refugees, and also we have the same government who makes rather pitiful attempts at cutting spending, but at least they've tried to do something in the past, and that's been knocked on the head by the Senate. And again, I don't regard the Senate as being super democratic in that a person in Tasmania can win a seat in the Senate with a 14th of the vote of someone in New South Wales. That's how different the quotas are, because it's a state-based house. And Tasmania, which has only got about 500,000 people in total, gets the same number of senators as a place like New South Wales, which I think is probably about 5 or 6 million in comparison, population-wise. And the founding fathers set it up as a state-based house. And that's all fair and good, I guess, if you want to have some checks and balances. But basically now the Senate is basically a house that just blocks our duly elected government's legislation. Now, most of the problems with this government are self-inflicted. It's not because of the Senate, but they're not exactly helping things. And I do resent the fact that a lot of these senators who are of dubious qualifications, in my opinion, are getting paid big bucks for 6-year terms, and all they're doing is obstructing governments making hard decisions. They're happy to allow governments to increase spending because they're happy to take the soft option, because they're basically after their own self-aggrandizement. If you go to the electorate and say, well, I'm going to allow you to have more lollies, of course they're going to love you. But that's not good government. We need tougher government, not bloody wimpy senators who are basically just trying to win a popularity contest. And, the ones that come to mind are populists like Jackie Lambie, you've got Darren Hinch, and you've got Nick Xenophon, and they're basically popularists from what I can gather. And the whole system is just not working. We are in a lot of trouble in this country right now. We have some major issues to address. I think the top priority for our future, apart from obviously getting the debt under control, because that's basically hamstrunging the youth of this country for the future, and that's just not fair, because they're going to have to pay for these bills that we're raking up as baby boomers and generations under mine. We've been living way beyond our means, and those poor bastards are the ones who are going to have to pick up the tab, and there's going to be less of them as a percentage working in the population as well. So it's going to be very difficult. So it's a real time bomb as far as the debt's concerned. But and then we also, by the way, have that housing bubble hanging over us, and if that thing bursts, wealth in this country is going to take a huge dive, because a lot of people have invested the largest proportion of their wealth is in the houses or in speculative houses, and there are very, very worrying signs right now. And I'm personally quite happy to be cashed up at this moment, because I am very, very scared. Mind you, I've been watching some of these cataclysmic videos on YouTube, and gee, there's a lot of money to be made out of scaring the crap out of people. It's not just Stephen King's you've got onto that. There's a whole lot of basic doomsday preppers out there. And, it's interesting when they have a go at the economy, how it's going to collapse. Of course, there's a sting in the tail. At the end, they're going to try to flog you gold or silver. So they've got their hidden agendas, most of them. So you've got to watch out for them. Ones that don't try flogging you gold and silver, you might want to listen to. But the other ones, well, they're out to make a quick buck as well. So be very careful. That's my opinion on that one. Because it's a tried and true way of getting an audience, is to scare people. People love being scared. It's a mixed emotions, I guess, in most people on that one. But the point is, Australia has got some major problems right now, and we do need strong government to address them. We need to reform our education system, because it is far too politicised. The curriculum is crap. It's just overloading kids with a lot of politically correct garbage and not teaching them the basics. We need to have this overturned. And I actually do have a radical solution, and that is to defund humanities and social science subjects at tertiary level. You allow people to study them by all means, but they have to pay for it out of their own pocket. The federal government only funds what subjects are deemed to be of importance. Even the Labor Party is actually understanding this, and I think even Bill Shorten mentioned that he'd like to see special funds go to the science and technology subjects at university. So even they've worked that one out, so which is quite amazing, because I don't credit them with much common sense, but they have got that particular policy right. The trouble with the Labor Party is they'll just spend and don't bother about putting more money on the credit card, because it won't be money that we've earned, it'll be money that we need to owe, and if interest rates do go up, we're all going to be going down the crapper. And they can go up even when the Reserve Bank keeps them down. That's one of the reasons the housing bubble's looking really dangerous at the moment, because the financial institutions are increasing their interest rates above what the Reserve Bank is. Reserve Bank has basically kept them steady, the interest rates, but the financial institutions have been increasing the rates. That the banks and other lenders have been increasing it to, say, investment loans and what have you, which I think is a sensible move. But if we're on a tipping point, it could be just enough to push us over the edge, and then there could be a total collapse in house prices. it's probably less likely than say a flat market and maybe one that slightly subsides. But it's possible, and it's not. It's hardly the realms of fantasy to think that this is a scenario that can take place, and it's going to be damn ugly if it does. So, as I say, we really need strong leadership in this country. I don't believe the Liberals can provide it. I'm not happy about the Labor Party either, and the Greens offer absolutely no credible alternative. I'm a bit worried, to be honest with you, but I've said this before, and you know that. Anyway, look, if you enjoy my little rave here, please subscribe, and if you like what I've said, give me a thumbs up, and even if you don't like what I said, give me a thumbs down. But give me some sort of a feedback. That would be appreciated. Okay, have a good day.